What is the power of a word, a spoken word? So, on the one hand, a word has a lot of power, meaning the words that I say to somebody else can be very powerful. They can either compliment them, make them feel good, build their self esteem, be very constructive, or a word could be very destructive. If I say something really not nice to someone else, I can deflate their self esteem. I can make them feel really lousy about themselves. So, vis-a-vis another person, my words can be very powerful. On the other hand, vis-a-vis myself, what is the power? What's the significance of one word? So the truth is that a word, a spoken word, has very little significance with regards to myself, my general life, my inner faculties, my soul. Think about it. My words represent the power of speech. Every person is blessed with the power of speech. It's one of the faculties, one of the garments of the soul. How many words does the power of speech have? How much can you say in a lifetime? Are there any limitations? How many words you can use in your life? So the answer is no. You can speak infinite amounts of words. The power of speech can give you the ability to speak infinite amounts of words. Now, we don't live forever, so there's always a finite amount of words that we say, and we're not speaking all the time. But theoretically, if you want to speak all the time and you would live forever, the power of speech could allow us to speak ad infinitum. So with regards to the infinite ability of the power of speech to speak words, what is the value of one word that we say compared to the infinite ability, power to speak words? The answer is nothing. It has no significance. One versus the infinity of the power of speech, one word has no significance. Let's go deeper. What is the significance of one spoken word compared to the power of my thought? Now, thought is also a garment of the soul, like speech is. It's a way that we express our soul, express our knowledge and emotions. We express them through thoughts, express them through words. Now, in thought, it's a different kind of expression. It's a much more subtle and refined expression than words. It's a garment that's much closer to the soul. In a way, it's more spiritual. So when we think, we also think with language and with words. Think about your thoughts. You're thinking through the language that's common and familiar to you. And those words, however, are very different than the words, the letters that are expressed through speech, right? Speech produces audible sound. It produces waves that when it reaches your ear, that can be converted into audible sound, which way you can hear what I'm saying. It's a way that I can communicate with you. You can't, however, hear the words of my thoughts because my thoughts don't produce that kind of wave that gets translated into audible sound in your ear. My thoughts do produce waves. They do produce words. That's how we think. We think in words, but it's much more subtle and refined, which, by the way, there are great people or holy people that, we say they can read your mind. They can hear your thoughts. Now, it's not that it's a miracle someone hears your thoughts. It's not a miracle. It is possible to hear someone else's thoughts. Not an ordinary person. An ordinary person that processes through their eyes and their ears and their mouth and their regular senses, the regular organs, they can pick up the spoken word, but they can't pick up the thought word because the thought word process it operates in a higher order. If, however, somebody is really holy, really sensitive, really spiritually astute, then they can actually hear or receive the words of your thoughts. It is possible if you operate on that higher level because we do think through words. But because those words are of such a different nature than the spoken word, it's such a higher order, much more spiritual, refined state. Again, you can think infinite amounts of thoughts also. And by the way our thoughts are much more potent than our words. Sometimes it can take many words to express a small or very short, brief thought. We can think something quickly, but to say it takes a lot longer time. And the answer is because the words are on a much more lower level versus the thoughts, which are much more high level, more refined. And because it's more refined, it can be more compact. Things can happen in a quicker way, in a briefer way than through words. Now, go back to our discussion. What's the significance of one spoken word versus the power of my thoughts? all the more insignificant, because the thought level is so much different, so much higher, so much more aloof than the spoken speech level, and there's infinite power of thought words as well. So one spoken word is completely insignificant to the infinite power of speech. One spoken word is even more completely insignificant to this infinite power of thought. Let's go deeper. What about beyond the garments of our soul that are expressing through thoughts and through words? What about our inner faculties of our mind and our heart? Our mind is when we know about something. Not we're thinking about it, but we know and we're aware of something. Our heart is when we start to emote and react and feel towards something. So here's how it works. First, there's the first stage of consciousness. We become aware of something. We get to know something. Let's talk about ice cream. Everybody loves ice cream. Most people. So the mind becomes aware of ice cream. The mind understands. The mind knows about it. The ingredients, the delight, the delicious taste, the texture. So the mind becomes aware of it. And then it spills over into the heart. The heart starts to feel towards it. I really want some. I'm craving some. I desire some. It makes me feel good. It's all the feelings you may have. Then that the emotions, the feelings of the heart send message to the mind. Let's start to think about it. And when you think about it, that's where the emergence of words and letters appear for the first time. But before you're actually thinking about it, when you just have the awareness of the knowledge in the mind, or the emotion, the feeling of the heart, there aren't even any letters or words over there. That's not how the mind and heart operate. They operate on a complete different system. The mind, where the science will explain, the mind operates on neurological connections and pathways, and the heart on its level. There are no words and letters there. Words and letters are born later when you start to think about something in the thought and then speak it in your speech. So, what's the value of one spoken word compared to the knowledge, the awareness, or the feelings of the heart? Completely insignificant, all the more so. So, if we judge the power of a word compared to what is really going on in our inner selves and our inner disposition, our knowledge and our feelings, the way we operate, the way we interact with the world around us, a spoken word has no value whatsoever. We should be careful with our words. We should be more particular with our words. But essentially, you say a word that has basically zero significance and value compared to the infinite power of your speech. How much more so compared to the infinite power of your thought words? How much more so compared to the levels of mind and heart which transcend words altogether? That's a spoken word. Now, getting back to what we spoke about yesterday. How did God create the world? Through a spoken word. God said, let there be light, and there was light. What is the significance? What's the value of that word compared to God's power for speech, compared to God's power for thought words, compared to God's inner mind and inner heart, compared to the highest level of God's persona? Does that word have any real significance? Think about that. And once you understand that, that's the key, which we'll get up to tomorrow's class in the next chapter, to understanding the significance and the value of all of God's creation and all of God's achievements through the spoken word compared to God himself. What value does it have? How much did it really change God and the unity of God if it's all achieved only through a spoken word? So that's the beginning of the idea that will continue in future classes. At the same time, always to remember that that's with regards to ourselves. With regards to somebody else, your words are extremely powerful. We should use them carefully and wisely to be constructive, to be complementing, and to be building relationships and other people's self-esteem. Have a great day. God bless you.